First John. Okay, one of my absolute favorite books of the Bible. First John. And let me tell you, it's in the back of the Bible for a reason. Okay, it takes study. It takes concentration. I would say before anyone starts to interpret First John, you need to read the whole New Testament, read all the books preceding First John, okay, and then after that, study First John for a year. That's what I would say. No, you don't need Bible college, you don't need pastors, you don't need preachers, although a preacher did help me to interpret First John. Now, I have finally found somebody that teaches First John correctly. Finally. I have searched for 4 years. 2016, I have been searching and searching for a pastor or a Bible teacher to teach First John correctly. I have found none. No pastor. Nobody teaches First John correctly. Okay? But last week, finally found somebody. His name is Jason Jack. All right, now I'm going to post his YouTube channel. It's just some, I think he's a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. Because I looked up, you type in Jason Jack, and a plastic surgeon pops up. And it looks a lot like the guy on YouTube. So it's really awesome. I finally found somebody. I was introduced to the correct teaching of First John in 2016. When I was going to Steadfast Baptist, I wanted to preach a sermon on First John because I've been studying it and studying it and studying it. And I wanted to actually, and so I got online and just typed in First John, and by happen chance, I came across this sermon by a series of First John, okay, by a guy in Utah, all right. Eli Braley is his name. All Saints Church in Logan, Utah, and he no longer pastors there. But I listened to his series, and I had an epiphany. Finally, I was like, "This is it." Now here's Josh. He's 2 years old. Okay. Hi, Josh. Okay. Anyway, after listening to his First John series, I had an epiphany. It's like, this is it. This is the correct teaching. First John is about faith versus works. Okay. Now, I used to believe the opposite. I used to believe that First John was a test to see if you're a true Christian. You know, John gives a series of 5 tests, and and you go through the tests to see if you're a true believer. And anyway, it's like a series, and one of the tests that they're supposedly give is the moral test. Do you have overall a lifestyle of righteousness, or do you practice sin? That's one of the tests, And so I used to believe all of that. I used to fall for that First John was a test to see if you're a true Christian, and all these teachers would bring out, and every sermon you listen to on First John, it's like that, okay? Every single sermon. But when I came across this one series by Eli Braley back in 2016, a light bulb went off. I'm like, fine, this is it. It cannot be a test to see if you're a Christian. It can't be, because just look at your own life. Do you live up to practicing righteousness every day? Seriously, examine your life. Do you really live up to that? It's like, no, we don't. You literally would have to if anyone says, do you practice a lifestyle of righteousness? You would literally have to stand up in front of everybody and say, I practice a lifestyle of righteousness because I'm a true believer. You would literally have to say that from your mouth. How many of us can stand up and say, I practice righteousness? We can't. In fact, I'm even embarrassed to stand up and say of any of my righteousness. Like, I don't have any of my righteousness, right? But that's what the teachers are teaching. They're saying, examine your life. Do you practice a lifestyle of righteousness? You're a true believer. I mean, what in the world, right? It's not about that. Okay, and I remember one of the things Eli Braley said in his 1 John series. He said, that's what we have to get out of our mind. You don't perform to see if you're a Christian. This is what you're trying to get out of your head. It is not performance as a test. It's your faith as a test. All right? And a light bulb went off. I'm like, this is it. We have been teaching 1 John falsely this whole time. We have been believing false teachers on 1 John all of our lives. All right? And we have to change our belief on 1 John of how we view it. All right, now, 1 John is not a random book as people think it is. Okay, there are specific terms in 1 John that if it's not properly defined, given the correct definition, you can any preacher can change it into a work salvation book. And it's not work salvation. And it's not a test to see if you're a Christian. Now, I could easily teach 1 John. After finally figuring it out, all right, after 4 years, all right, and with the help, Eli Braley kind of showed me, okay, he showed me the correct teaching of 1 John, but you really have to cement it in your mind first. You have to be able to open up the scriptures, okay? You have to open up 1 John. You have a Bible. Hold on a minute. So here it is, the Bible right here, 1 John. Are you able to open up 1 John and sit down with somebody and teach it? That's making it your own. Okay, that's owning it. That's having Bible knowledge, and you're able to teach it without any help of pastors and preachers, okay? Because I can teach 1 John now. I have studied it and I have the knowledge. I have looked up definitions and terms like what darkness means, what walking in light means, okay, like 1 John 3:9, doth not commit sin. I know what that means, okay. I know what overcome the world means, okay. So I can, sit down and teach it, all right. And you need to be able to do that too. Okay, but there's two ways of going about 1 John, and one way is false, and one way is true. All right, and what path are you going to take? All right, so the correct path is faith versus works. The correct path of 1 John is putting on your faith glasses. All right, let's put on our saved by faith glasses. And we're going to view 1 John by saved by faith alone. It's only faith, living by faith, believing, faith, however you want to put it. And that's how you look. And that's how you look at 1 John, through faith alone. No works. And that's how you interpret. The other way of interpreting 1 John is saved by grace with works. All right, so you put on your works glasses. All right, you put on your practicing righteousness, having works, evidence of salvation, fruits of salvation, and you've got that side of it. And you put on those glasses. And that's how you interpret 1 John. You know, grace through faith with works. All right, and you interpret every verse of 1 John through works. All right, you put on the works glasses, like I said. All right, this verse means that you practice righteousness. And this verse means that it's a test to see if you're a true Christian. You will not walk in darkness if you're a true Christian. You will not lead a lifestyle of sin if you're a true Christian. And it's performance-based interpretation. All right, so there's two ways of going about it. Now, for 4 years straight, I have looked up sermon after sermon, commentary after commentary, looking, not for my own Bible teaching, but looking and seeking for somebody to teach 1 John correctly. Like I said, I have found none. Nobody. Baptists couldn't even interpret 1 John correctly. All right, some of my favorite pastors, Victor Tay, Tyler Baker, Steven Anderson, none of them interpreted 1 John correctly. All right, they still threw in works. All right, like loving God, you keep His commandments, and they do. It's a performance thing to them. And work salvation teachers, it's a performance thing to them. Nobody taught it correctly. And then, like I said, I found somebody finally. His name's Jason Jack. Now, instead of me doing an hour video on 1 John, I'm gonna let him do it. All right, I'm just gonna upload Jason Jack's concise 15-minute video on 1 John. I think it's 15. It could be 20-minute video on 1 John. All right. And I'm just going to upload it and let him, and it's a true teaching of 1 John. Okay. And you can listen to it, and it's great. All right. And I'll just let him do it, because to do a Bible study, it takes a long time. If I wanted to make a video on 1 John, which I might do, but it takes a long time. It takes Bible study, you know, it takes getting your ducks in a row. It takes all of that. And right now, working 3 jobs, you know, I really don't have time, but, you know, and let someone else do it. So someone else have already done it. Now, I would upload Eli Braley's excellent sermons that got me going on the correct path of 1 John, but a lot of you will be offended because some of his series on 1 John, he uses a different Bible version. Okay, he uses, I think, the New American Standard in one of his series. Okay, so a lot of you will be offended. And so, but I might do that. And I come from the belief that that a person is still saved even though they use a different Bible version. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to hell because you use the New American Standard. Now, the New American Standard is false, but you can still be saved if you use it. Okay. Belief in Christ. Do you think I can open up the New American Standard and pick out verses of faith in Christ? Yeah, of course I can. I can pick out verses that talk about faith in Christ, faith alone, saved by grace without works. I can pick out those verses. Okay, but there's also a lot of verses in New American or in the new versions that need to be crossed off with a Sharpie because they're false. The King James is the standard of truth, so you compare everything to the King James. That's why a lot of, like 85% of the verses you can cross off with a Sharpie in the new versions. Literally, take a Sharpie, cross off verses called redacted. The redacted new version, basically. You could, yeah. But anyway, you could preach a sermon using a new Bible version and still preach truth. Okay? I'm not like one of those hardcore, like, you're going to hell if you open up that New American Standard. No. No, they could be saved. Just ask them. Okay? That's all you do is you ask. You don't say, are you saved? Which Bible version do you use? No. You say, are you saved? What's the object of your faith? That's what you say. Okay. But anyway, I'm actually gonna upload Jason Jack's true interpretation of 1 John. Then I'm gonna upload a false interpretation of 1 John. All right, and then I'll let you decide. I'll let you look at both the true and the false, unedited. All right, I'm not gonna edit it. All right. Anyway, God bless.